Late afternoon here in South Africa. That's the New Zealand combination, captained once again by Todd Blackadder. And, well, we pick out the names on that side and we know them. The back three, Cullen Umanga and John Olomu in particular, given the space, can cause a lot of problems today. But certainly that pack of forwards are going to be under a lot of pressure today. There's a lot of work for them to be done. And back in New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, they struggled against the Springboks, perhaps came off second best. Robbie Fleck is a late replacement for David Barry. And, well, Grant Esterhuizen will start his first test match for South Africa. Perhaps plenty of opportunities for those replacements. Troy Flavel, very, very highly rated in New Zealand. And on the South African side, Billy May has come onto the bench because Robbie Kempson is another one who's out. And Ollie LaRue has come on in his place. So there'll be some question marks against Ollie LaRue, whether he can last the match. But certainly there have been a lot of rumours about replacements relatively early in the match. And when I say early, we're talking about half-time onwards. But that remains to be seen just what happens. The man in picture was Case Muse. That's probably what you'd call a rare challenge, that.
Well, I remember Ian Robinson before the 1991 World Cup introducing the then world champions. There is Case Muse, and saying, I don't know about you, but they scare the willies out of me.
Big match this. Since coming out of isolation, South Africa have won 2 here, New Zealand have won 2. Short for Mertens. Andrews, the catcher, always powerful, very powerful and very solid under those high balls. Springboks playing a little behind the advantage line, and that's the first kick. Is that a sign of things to come? Cullen now. Umanga. Finding space, and that's good support play by the New Zealanders. Even big Norm Maxwell's in the back line. Justin Marshall's kick through. Tinus Delport on his home turf. He'll know his way around this park.
Well, he was outside the 22, and so that's bad news for the Springboks. We talked about the kicking before the game. What they mustn't do is kick badly. And Werner Swanepoel's first kick was a poor one. Christian Cullen set up this whole movement from being in the right place because he knew where the ball was coming down.
Well, that was your point a little bit earlier, one feels, Andy, as well, where not enough pressure was put on Cullen after that kick. It was very much a defensive kick from Swanepoel, and the players couldn't get up enough, but that's a good take in the line out. Both teams, you'll see, one feels a lot of competition for line-out ball on opposition throw. Mertens down the line, Elatini, and now the big man. Closely watched by the Springboks, and good work by Van Straten, but the Springboks, one feels, were offside.
Kobus Fasaki is the man who's been called, and it was from very early on in that movement. A lot of advantage was played, and the All Blacks got nowhere, so they come back. Well, this is where the offside occurred. And in fact, I think the referee was already playing advantage before that aerial shot was brought in. There he is, the arm comes out there, Kobus Fasaki is done, and the All Blacks running onto the ball from deep, and immediately you see Lomu coming off his wing to search for work, and they use them a lot in the midfield.
Some distance out, but boy, can this guy kick straight, and can he kick well. Mertens then with the first points of the match.
I suppose we should remember that if there's anything in history, Andrew Mertens has never won at Ellis Park.
And John Olomu still hasn't scored a try against South Africa. Van Straten's kick in is well targeted. There's a lot of competition from the Springboks. Swanepoel. Van Straten just had a little look up, and then the inside pass. Captain Force taking it up. Fasaki. Big pressure being provided now by the Springboks. This is Erasmus coming back in field. Van Straten himself trying to go through, but it was a little bit telegraphed. Nevertheless, the Springboks have kept the possession. They want to take it through more than 2 or 3 phases. It's been a little bit of an Achilles heel for them in recent matches. Fleck getting through a little bit of space. Paulser, there's good support from the Springboks. Barrere. Big charge up from Grant Esterhuizen, still they come. They'll want to score here, the Springboks a chance, but Umanga comes through, and the referee says that they were offside. It wasn't Umanga that was offside, it was a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah, quite a lot earlier, and the referee played a lot of advantage there.
They're always a little bit tricky, this from the right-hand side, and that's come off the upright. Justin Marshall. This is excellent play by Anton Oliver. He's really got them up to the 22, which is what they needed, and it's given them a little bit of a platform. Confelt. Good support play coming from Iramia.
Stay out, leave it.
Lomu downfield. That was clever play that by the left winger. Just gone a little bit too deep. Now Delport, he loves to run with it. Looking to go on his own. He's got through 3 or 4 tackles. And it was quick release, what was what the Springboks wanted. Now they've got to get it out. Still looking to come in field, and the in-tackling mechanism of the All Blacks was well oiled. Van Straten.
Stay on. That's on.
Springboks certainly getting a lot of possession in these early exchanges. The big question is that you've got to convert them into points.
This is Tinnis Delport, who sets up a really excellent platform here, but then it goes nowhere.
Van Straten, the little run around, but again unable to get the ball through the hands. Venter. New Zealand will know if they can defend well here for these first 10 minutes and not concede points. They would have done a really, really excellent job. Swanepoel, Fleck, it'll show the hands, but again it's good defensive work by the All Blacks. And one fancies, Andy, again a level of predictability about the attacking mechanism of the Springboks.
The only unpredictability is exactly who the scrum half's going to pass the ball to, and really everybody's standing still, and they're expecting almost rugby league style for each man to beat the other man in order to make space, and it's not going to happen.
Don't go in, Locks. We're waiting for the call.
Well, the Springboks couldn't have asked for a better scrummage. Slap in the middle of the field on the 22. 2 attacking options for them.
Stay on.
Swanepoel into the half gap. Chester Williams now. Inside he goes. Chester Williams has got the first try. And that was really poor defensive work from the All Blacks. But the little fellow just kept his head down, swung inside, and a great finish.
Well, they say you can't score from first phase anymore. You mentioned what a wonderful platform it was. This is where it's created. Swanepoel, who's done nothing but pass the ball to date, makes the break, which enables Chester Williams to be able to throw a move when he gets one-on-one. This is super play by Swanepoel because he keeps the ball high through the tackle, releases it over the top, and then Chester's only got to beat one man. And that's classic simple rugby, and I wish they'd play more of it.
Can he have better luck this time? Right hand upright with the first kick, and this one is sailing through.
Well, you can't overestimate what a try like that will do to a team, because they know they can hurt the opposition from first phase ball. Never mind this nonsense of taking it through the phases. Let's play rugby from first phase.
Springboks moving around in the line out. Eventually it's Andrews with a catch. Force getting over the advantage line, and again the Springboks looking for quick possession. Van Straten. Erasmus down the line they go. Fleck with an incisive break and the little signal to the crowd.
Well, one thing about having an outside centre and inside centre is that you do get the outside break every now and again, and that was lovely rugby. And again, so simple. This was about third phase ball, hit up by Brian van Straten. I wish we'd see him do more of that. Quickly available, and it becomes one-on-one again. He beats his man, easy try. Well, the conversion's good from Brian van Straten. I was just thinking, Gavin, Springboks haven't scored a try at all for a month. Now they've scored 2 in 5 minutes.
Against the 126 of Ollie Leroux, 2 big men. Getting over the advantage line was critical on this occasion, but the Springboks have messed it up. Now a chance for counter-attack. Watch out for Cullen. This is Umanga for a start. He's got right through the tackles, and the All Blacks have punished the Springboks for that indiscretion.
Well, I just felt that this was the wrong move at the wrong time, and easy to say, but look how quickly they turn defence into attack. The missed tackle from Van Straten, with Chester Williams having to cover the outside, meant a straight run to the line for Tanu Umanga. But I'm really not entirely certain why that move was called by the Springboks from that position. I certainly would have liked to have seen them setting up another field position with a kick downfield or taking it through the forwards.
Well, Andy, I'm not sure that the players were strategically placed as well for that particular move, but still, nevertheless, the All Blacks have got themselves back into the game, courtesy of Umanga and Mertens. So 14 points to 10 is that scoreline.
Well, when you see the replay like that, it really does look a mess, and you wonder how many of the back line were actually in on the move that Brian Van Straten called there.
Anton Oliver. This time, it's Norm Maxwell with a catch. Good work there by Kobus Fasaki just to hold the All Blacks back a bit, stop the momentum. There the switch to John Olomu, who's again closed up in midfield. This is Eremia. All Blacks looking to use a little bit more of John Olomu. Good support play coming from the rest of the All Blacks. They're very good at controlling possession in these sort of situations. Mertens looking to go himself. That's a sight you don't often see. Still, there's good support there. That's Elatini onto Umanga again. Cullen. Absolutely no room for Christian Cullen to get moving, but they've got the penalty, the All Blacks.
Side number 1, side.
Penalty against Ollie LaRue. The noise in the stadium is really quite dizzy. And now Mertens, virtually from straight in front. He doesn't miss too many of those. So second successful penalty for Andrew Mertens. Bit of pressure on that All Black scrum as Marshall gets an awful delivery. And that's turnover for the Springboks. Chance now for Fleck. Inside he goes. It's going to be an easy path for Fleck. And try number 2.
Turnover ball, so often so difficult to defend against. Jonah Lomu was absolutely nowhere, didn't know who he was supposed to be picking up. And once again, you've got a situation of a guy who's one-on-one. He's got one man to beat, and the try line is open. Simple, direct rugby. Let's see some more of it.
Well, certainly confounding any of the critics. From an inside centre berth, there he goes. And a sharp eye for the gap as Robbie Fleck got. He's got the pace off the mark as well, and that's a super finish.
I'll tell you one thing, Gavin, Robbie Fleck has had such poor quality ball throughout the last 4 or 5 tests because of the bad game plan, that he's now revelling at inside centre because he's getting good ball.
That'll be 21 points then for the Springboks. We'll just keep an eye there. It was a poor effort again, this time by Taine Randall, who was also caught flat-footed with that inside break of Fleck's, and really just reveling in the opportunity to run straight. Robbie Fleck, he is a straight runner, loves it, having the ball in hand, and well, that's his second one of the match. Change of tactics by the All Blacks, looking to short line outs right now. They're not happy with the way it's gone up to now. One crib at the back, and it's all become a little bit messy for them. Force. Erasmus looking to go back in field. He'll want to consolidate, and then again it's a quick release, which the Springboks are reveling in. This time here comes Fleck. There's extra space now. Cricker, Corno Cricker showing a clean pair of heels. Where's the support play? He's not going to make it. This is Paulser. Quick delivery again wanted. Chester Williams in possession. Here they come. It's a try. Werner Swanepoel has put the finishing touches.
Well, we were asking just now where Brayton Paulser was, and he was very, very important in that movement. The break made by the loose forward Corne Cricker, who held on to the ball long enough and was aware enough of the space around him to wait for support. The support comes in the form of Paulser. Now watch this, a lovely delivery of the pass from Robbie Fleck, and a great assessment. You see, he's looking left, he's looking right, he knows who's coming. Now Paulser takes it around and sets the next phase, and it's from here that Swanepoel picks up, goes blind, and there's not an All Black in sight. Taine Randall's up, he knows what's coming, but he can't get there.
Well, that's a bonus point. The 4 tries to the Springboks, and Really wonderful that Swanepoel is the man to have scored that try. He's really had a good game. The most difficult kick of the day for Bram van Straten, along with the conversion of Williams's, or attempted conversion of Williams's try. Another one off the upright. Now the big question is, can the All Blacks come back from this? They're down 13 points right now, as we see Swanepoel with the finishing touches. Referee just waiting for advantage, but there was a knockdown. One senses only the body language of the Springboks perhaps tells the story too, doesn't it?
You're almost pinching yourself, because the Springboks have scored 4 tries in 35 minutes. One thing I will remember is that the All Blacks do tend to come back very well.
Hold it quick.
Good take by Swanepoel, looking to be the playmaker. Fleck. Esterhuizen, who hasn't had too much of the ball, but here they come again. Another chance for Delport. Beautiful running by Delport. Martins will not stop him. Springbok.
Pinch me, please. Pinch me. Well, what on earth is going on? This is the kind of direct rugby that we've been asking the Springboks to play all year, and suddenly here it is. They're playing with so much adventure. Erasmus holding on to the ball long enough. Robbie Fleck is absolutely having a field day, and Grant Esterhuizen's pass there might have gone forward, but this is a very similar try to the one that Tinus Delport scored for the Cats in the Super 12, when he just took off on the left wing, cut in field, and because he's got such pace, there's never anybody who's going to stop him.
That's it from Van Straten. So the Springboks now into the 30s. Swanepoel with that quick take. Again, Fleck, one feels, has managed to get enough people onto him, and the release was done really at the correct moment. But that's lovely running by Delport. He is a quick man. Alatini, Iramia. The Springboks are making important inroads into the All Black attacking mechanism. Every opportunity that the All Blacks have is met with pretty much stern resistance from the Springboks. Cullen getting a bit frustrated. He's up now. This is Randall. Mertens. Some huge tackles from the Springboks there. You saw Iramia go in. Now Mertens downfield. Cullen looked for the chip, and then he goes through beautifully. What a great finish by Cullen.
One thing to be said here is that if you do happen to be watching this game as a neutral, you must be having a wonderful time. It really is a great game of rugby. There's so much going on. Now, there's quite a lot of missed tackles, but there's a lot of enterprise. Now, watch this outrageous dummy. That is unbelievable stuff.
It's the sort of thing you'll find from that man, Cullen. Thought about the chip kick, held on, just whistled through the gap, and it was a good pass from Mertens, accurately placed. You can see poor old Mark Andrews put his arms up in anticipation of the little chip kick, and Cullen's got his 6th try of the Tri Nations. Seven points that were desperately needed by the All Blacks prior to half-time.
Well, I think Cullen probably just says everything here about what a wonderful rugby player he is. It is, of course, a back running at a forward, and I'd like to see more of that from the South African game plan perspective.
Van Straten reveling in these opportunities to ignite his backs. Erasmus, Venter. Inventiveness coming out of the Springboks now. Esterhuizen, but that's behind the advantage line, and in retreat, Cricker couldn't hold on to it. This is Oliver. Lamu, Chester Williams just holding on long enough to try and slow the momentum of the big man. Mertens looking for width, finding Case Muse in the midfield, but Burley Prop's done well. One crib. This is Mertens. Cullen has come back up into the line. And that's confidence in the men who've got possession, because if the Springboks could turn that, there's no one at home at the back for the All Blacks. Umanga finding space. He's got Cullen with him. Wrong foots everybody, and Tana Umanga's got his second of the match. We really have seen some seemingly quite soft tries today, Andy.
Yeah, there's been a lot of one-on-one. It's gone through quite a lot of phases, but here Umanga is one-on-one, and again it's a back against a forward. And once he's beaten the first line of defence, it's only really a case of going through your moves when you're as good a player as Tana Umanga is. And he's got one man to beat, steps off his right foot, and he's gone. Chester Williams just stands there and applauds that.
Andrew Mertens with a conversion, so the All Blacks really, one feels, have got out of jail a little bit towards the end of this first half, but they'll be happy with the fact that they got those 2 tries from Umanga along with Cullen. So the Springboks have got 5. There you have it on the score sheet. Don't go away, we'll be back with you shortly. So there we have it. Robbie Fleck, perhaps the man of the first half on both sides, playing it inside centre today, and Bram van Straten will start the second half with a deep kick in. Mertens pumping it on. We haven't seen a lot of Brayton Paulse in this match. Delport. Not scared to hoist it and get the Springbok forwards going forward. This is Cribb. Good counter-attack from him. The All Blacks have had a chat at half-time, no question about it. They've got to find a way of getting back into this game. Kronfeld, there they come, onto the big man. Lamu now, charging down the line. And that one's just gone a little bit too far.
That was probably the wrong option from the big man. I think if he'd hung on to the ball, taken the tackle, he might well have been able to set up a try-scoring movement there. This is another wonderful example of backs and forwards playing together. Kronfeld up with play. Lomu in the old days, I tell you, he would have just shrugged off Chester Williams there instead of putting the ball on the boot.
So Van Straten has just got a message from Andre Vos as to where they want that ball, and that's downfield. Mertens repeating the Springbok medicine of a hoist up, and beautifully fielded by Delport. That's well, you could almost classify that a dangerous tackle, but it's been fast and furious. Fleck now looking for space again. Venter, huge tackle on him. Van Straten going midfield onto Christian Cullen. Kick through from Van Straten and back foot. It's only Ron Cribb all on his own. That's lovely skills that from the number 8, but he's kicked it straight into Chester Williams' hands. Springboks now, they're all over the place. Fasaki in the middle. Didn't have too many men close in, so he's held on to it. Consolidated. Fleck again. Some big tackles coming from the All Blacks onto Paulse this time, but the Springboks have got a penalty. And it's the usual in the 22, All Blacks offside. Well, just a little look up from Cribb. Chipped it straight into Chester Williams' hands. And he didn't find enough space really to consolidate from there. So the first successful penalty goal then for Van Straten. And that's 11 points for the fly half. Now running by Mertens, here comes Cullen again. He's found some space, and just look at that, he's glided past, and I think that try is going to be awarded. There was some debate as to whether he'd actually touched the corner flag as he went over, but really, he just took Delport on the outside.
Well, now they'll be looking back at that knock-on, because it set up a field position where the All Blacks were able to do this. First of all, Mertens took the ball running at pace. He was able to release Cullen, who was already in full stride, and Cullen is quicker than anybody around. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that try. It really is a wonderful piece of finishing. But watch Mertens as he takes the ball, he's already motoring, and as the pass hits Cullen, he's about 3/4 speed. He's able then to throw a move on Delport, who had to hang off him, and score in the corner. Classic rugby try.
Well, he knows how to kick the pressure ones, does Andrew Mertens, and the All Blacks are right up there.
Well, 2 points in it, and at one stage South Africa led by 20.
Well, this try effectively has put the Springboks out of the Tri-Nations because they needed maximum points against the All Blacks and Australia. Ron Cribb coming away with it. This is good play by the All Blacks. Umanga in at scrum half. Mertens. And again, it's the width of the field being utilised as John Olomu comes into play, looking to get round his man. There goes John Olomu. Is anybody going to stop him? The ask was for Chester Williams, and he did it. Crucial tackle. Still down the line it comes. Anton Oliver. There's extra men. And eventually it's Peter Alatini that couldn't hold on to it. Bit of pushing and shoving there from Cribb on Robbie Fleck.
Well, you asked if anybody was going to stop Lomu. It was in fact Rassie Erasmus's tackle, and Chester Williams then put his body on the line. There might have been a penalty against South Africa as Andre Venter put his hands into that breakdown situation.
Mertens to put New Zealand in the lead. Maria to the front to Andre Vos. Good variation that by the Springboks. Flecky's been a real handful in the midfield for the All Blacks. And Alatini and Irami have had to do a lot of tackling. Ball played off the ground by the All Blacks as Irami came away with it, and it was just as well for the Springboks. Well, the seesaw continues as Van Straten gets the Springboks back into the lead.
The most ever shared by these sides, 90. In Auckland in 1997, 55-35 to the All Blacks.
Cribb finding a little bit of latitude, stays on his feet beautifully. All Black extra men again. Here comes Alatini and Iramia. Quick possession for Marshall, it's just what he wanted. Down the line they go, and Chester Williams with the interception. Referee says there was a knock-on.
He's arguing the toss there because it might well have gone straight down off his chest. We'll get another chance to look at it, and a couple of crucial knock-ons have gone against the Springboks, because if this has been picked up cleanly, then Chester might have been away.
Well, perhaps you can hear the booing from the crowd who didn't agree with that decision. All Blacks under all sorts of pressure at the back of that scrum, but Kronfeld comes away with it. Now it's Tyne Randall. Lamu, Mertens, Alatini, and then Iramia was quickly blocked up and sandwiched by the Springboks. Again they come, Alatini. They're starting to get better possession now of the All Blacks. Umanga almost got around Delport. Still they come, Mertens. Brave effort that from Mertens to hold on to it. Marshall. Rare chance that for Carl Hooft. Springboks defensive work is holding.
Well, you said it, Johan, because that is manful defence from the Springboks. They've been stretched right the way across their own 22. Not a man missed a tackle, and that's a bit of old-fashioned rugby, and we've seen a bit of that today. I wonder what he's thinking.
Is he thinking? There's Chester Williams. Now you'll just keep an eye on that as well. That's I think a tough call on the Springbok. In he went, and that ball pretty much bounced backwards.
Stay on.
Cribb onto Umanga. Two men onto him quickly. The Springboks have really defended manfully, but they've got into a defensive position quickly as well. Alatini onto MacDonald. Then it's 3 men on 1. The Springboks really getting themselves organised, and now the turnover.
Yeah, it's so hard to criticise something like that because it's turnover ball and they've relieved it. But if that ball had stayed in field, there was a chance for the Springboks to score at the other end there. And I think Grant Esterhuizen was well aware of the fact that he really needed to get that ball in field rather than out.
Just 2 points in it. South Africa 39, New Zealand 37. That's Warren Brosnian down on the touchline. Good take there by Tyne Randall. Mertens with a drop attempt. Has he got it? Well, he's turned round. Andrew Mertens has put New Zealand back in the lead.
In the build-up, we saw one of the drop goals that Andrew Mertens missed in the 1995 World Cup, and this was from a fairly similar position, and that went straight and true. I wonder if he wishes he could have that one all over again.
Wonderful effort that from Mertens, just summed up the situation, looked for the change, and the Springboks at the moment have got Albert van der Berg and Warren Brosnan both warming up. There they are in picture now. It really has been such a titanic struggle for both sides. They'll be exhausted at the finish, so the need for some fresh legs. Turnover ball for the Springboks. Now they want to do something with this. That's great ball for them. Maxwell on Erasmus. Van Straten finding a bit of space on the inside. Crowd really on their feet right now. Swanepoel for Saki, taking the shortest route. Mark Hammett, close attentions there. Andrew Cole said, out you must go. Now they come again. It was John Smith that took it in. That's how close they are. Swanepoel going himself. Swanepoel's got the try.
I don't suppose I need to tell you at home, but the crowd has gone wild. And why not? That's brilliant stuff from the Springboks. And somebody somewhere this week has given Bram van Straten an injection of confidence, because he's doing things that he hasn't done previously. He is standing closer to the set pieces and the breakdowns, and that is allowing the likes of Werner Swanepoel to really do that kind of thing. Second try for the little scrum half, who's having the game of his life. And John Smith should be mentioned, because he was the man who did the battering build-up to that final breakdown.
That variation again has certainly helped the rest of the team, because there's been a feeling that up to now Swanepoel has really just been a passer of the ball from the base of the scrum, but now he's been a terrible menace today to the All Blacks. And mentioning Bram van Straten as well, Andy, as you did just now, you know, one feels that he's really got into a position where he's playing instinctive rugby. He's summing the situation up as he sees it and executing it as best as he can. So there's the drive up from John Smith, and he did particularly well. He's kept it alive, and that was enough pressure there to allow Swanepoel the latitude that he wanted. The man marking again by the All Blacks showed some deficiencies a little closer in. Van Straten really is confident. He called for that ball. He said, it's mine. McDonald not finding too much room to move. Delport up for it. It's not a knock on, it went backwards, says the referee. Fleck, he's isolated himself, he's got Chester Williams with him. Still they're able to work their way out of it. Here comes Williams. Whoa, just missed the take. Paulser now. Up for it, Marshall. Was he nudged by Brayton Paulser? Alatini. Umanga. That's good recovery that by the All Blacks. Now Iramia, that's superb outside centre play. Now Umanga's into play. Mertens, he's got Kronfeld with him, and there's a big tackle. Perfect timing that from Andre Venter, but the referee says it was too early. In fact, he's saying more than that. He said you didn't get your arms around him.
Well, let's have a look again. Pass on the inside. You might not see it here. There's the tackle. Ball hasn't arrived.
Yeah, good call from Andrew Cole. Now Mark Hammett has got a lot on his shoulders here. Can the All Blacks get their line out right? Randall at the back. They desperately need a goal right now to get back into the lead. The pride of two nations. Fantastic rivalry. Marshall just waiting up for it. Mertens and Alatini trying to get through. He's smothered into the deck. And then back it comes. That's an awful delivery, and great work there by Mark Hammett. Got the big men standing off. Carl Hooft, Umanga, Kronfeld. Still the Springbok defensive work holds. John Alamu, like an enraged bull, straight down the middle. Marshall, we haven't seen a big sniping break from him yet. Is that still to come? Randall. Springboks desperate now for an all-black error or turnover possession.
Well, they keep on making the tackles. They've only got another 10 minutes to do it. But, well, let's just applaud the teams, because whoever wins at the end of this game is going to have earned it.
Perhaps a draw would be a better result at the end of the day, Andy. 86 points. Yep, that's big Scott Robertson. First choice in many games during the course of the season. And Brosnian and Van der Berg are now coming on for Mark Andrews and Corne Quicker.
Yeah, I think you've got to do that in these circumstances. They can't keep making tackles the way they have. Mark Andrews out on his feet. Great test match.
Pick up from Cribb. He's very strong and very powerful with those drives. Seen more of that in the second half than we saw from him in the first. Bad position that for Merton. Still a chance for Eremia. Springbok midfield has had their work cut out in the second half with Alatini and Eremia with lots of opportunities. But the other penalties being given for the Springboks being offside.
I think it was Andre Vos who came over and actually played the ball on the ground with the hands. And the referee again, yes, diving over, played a long advantage there, and they're going to take the scrum.
Well, we've seen the Springboks score a try from this position in this match. Can the All Blacks do the same? Perfect position. Isn't Todd Blackadder wishing perhaps that he had Christian Cullen on the field right now? Take nothing away from Leon MacDonald, but Cullen's explosiveness in these situations are really quite useful. A little bit of pushing and shoving there with Brosnian and Ron Cribb. I tell you what, Ron Brosnian enjoys his rugby. He'll be like a wild man from Borneo for these last 7 minutes. Cribb with a switch pass. That was clever play by him. Now Eremia. Still they come. Blackadder standing off Ron Cribb. Springboks are having to make so many tackles as Mark Hammett comes in. And they're doing it with a lot of skill too. We haven't seen knock-ons from them as of yet. And the Springboks have taken it away. They want a huge punt downfield from somebody. Is it going to be Paulser? Nope. Swanepoel. MacDonald. On to Mertens. And now Alatini. Albert van der Berg coming away with it. Excellent play by him. He was not in an offside position, says Andrew Cole. Esterhuizen. Will they come? The Springboks deciding to run it. And just look at this. This is Charles Marais. Big tackle on him from Stratton, up for it as well. There was a knock-on. In fact, a dual knock-on, says the referee, and the All Blacks will have the put in. But are those players not tired?
Well, isn't it amazing what adrenaline can do? Because Charles Marais must be out on his feet, but he gets the ball in a loose position here, and suddenly he finds that he's got Ben Johnson's sprinting speed. And he's done it presumably without artificial health.
What can New Zealand do? Again, it's Cribb at the back of the scrum. Eremia and John Alomu unable to pick it up. Paulson in possession. Still, the Springboks are going to have the put in at the scrum if they don't make something of this. Wolf and Stratton look to drop. It's not a drop, it's an up and under. Pressure on John Alomu. Picked up by the Springboks. Can they get it down? Still they come, that's how close it is. Is Swanepoel going to get 3? Delport, up they come, but there's a knock-on. Now it's Blackadder. How often do you see this? The All Blacks from behind their own goal line. That's how desperate it is right now. Nobody daring to kick. Even Mertens himself getting involved. Scott Robertson. All Blacks have made a little bit of ground and done rather well from that situation, but here come the Springboks. A little bit of over-exuberance at the ruck, and the possession has been lost, and this will really spoil it.
This is lovely stuff from Bram van Straten, and again, it's variety. He's not doing the same thing all the time. Andre Venter takes the catch, and we all thought he'd got across the line here, but it's Jonah Lomu who actually holds him up, and I suppose that's the benefit of having a guy who's 6'5" and 97 stone on the wing.
Merton's safe and secure with the touch finder, and I'll tell you what, there are certainly 59,000 eyes on little Jaco van der Westhuizen on the touchline.
Here's where the fight started.
Again, it comes down the line from Mertens. Passed a lot of balls today, and the All Blacks really have found terrific defensive work from the Springboks. Umanga's had a busy afternoon too. 2 tries he's notched onto his stick. Marshall onto Mertens, and quickly thumped into touch. Now it's from the back. And the Springboks will be disappointed that they couldn't make more of that. And I'll tell you what a time to make your debut in Test rugby. Here comes Jaco van der Westhuizen on for Robbie Fleck, and I think Bram van Straten, as Andy You'd suggested might well happen during this match, is going to happen, has moved into inside centre.
Well, the irony is he's earned his spurs at fly half today, by far his best game for South Africa.
Tap down to Marshall is a really tough ball for the scrum half. Delayed possession for the All Blacks. It's not great ball for them. Still, they've got to somehow try and bring Big John Alomu into play. He's been shadowed all afternoon. Just no way through for the men in black, and they're not looking to vary their tactics either. We've seen no little chip kicks. They've kept the ball in hand and just try to bash it up. Here comes Blackadder now. Boyd on, and Scott Robertson onto Umanga. Very little support for Umanga, and the referee has penalised him for holding on the deck. All Blacks were too slow getting to the point of breakdown. Well, as many eyes that were on Jaco van der Westhuizen just now, certainly on the stadium clock right now, as it winds its way down.
I've just seen Andre Venter bellowing instructions at his backs, and you know what the instructions are. The first man that misses a tackle has to answer to me.
Swanepoel to Erasmus in the fly half position. Puts his head down and drives through. It's all about keeping that possession now. The Springboks will want to hold it. Van der Westhuizen. Another chance for Van der Westhuizen. Good roll to the fly half. Now the drop attempt from Van Straten. It's a huge effort, but it's not going to make it. What does McDonald do? He's going to have to play it. The hoot has just gone. Oh, can you believe it? He perhaps didn't hear the hooter. His teammates were shouting to him to play it, but it doesn't matter. It's too late. The Springboks have beaten the All Blacks against all sorts of odds, and what a wonderful test match it's been. 6 tries from South Africa and 4 from New Zealand. Van Straten, just look at the delight on the face of the Springboks. Ollie Leroux managed to see the game through, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a great level of respect from the All Blacks for the efforts today of the Springboks, Andy.
Amazing game of rugby. Couldn't be happier for Andre Vos, who's gone through the horrors as Springbok captain and has finally on home soil got a significant win against a major test nation. 56th game between these two sides. It's now 26 to the All Blacks, 25 to the Springboks. It's always been close. This game, despite the points, was always close, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.